Good morning. I am Susan Chipman, and alongside my teammates, Suzanne Kohler and Bob Rich, we're really excited to be here today to talk to you about one of the essential elements of our republic, and that's election integrity. As Becky said, we're from the Huntsville-Madison area, and just so you know that we did not know each other prior to 2020. And I know that's a year that many of you are never going to forget. I know we will never forget it. And just to kind of lay out how we got together, there was a 2020 presidential election, and Trump was running against Biden. And as many millions of Americans, we were watching TV to see the results unfold. And it got late into the night, and the counting stopped, but it looked like Trump had won. So many of us went to bed believing that Trump had won the election, to wake up the next day to find out that the outcome was different. So, and again, if you have a good memory, you know all the crazy things that were happening on the news in all the other states. So what does that do? That makes people ask a lot of questions, and we were very concerned about our freedom. So we just started reaching out to other people. And that's one way to bring comfort to yourself, is to ask your friends and family. We ended up getting involved in our community, and over the next year, each one of us had joined a grassroots organization. And these organizations would have meetings, so our paths crossed over and over and over again. And the one thing that really was good about what happened is it woke us up. We were sleeping, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way. We were taking a lot of things for granted, but what we realized is we did not understand the election process. We just assumed everything was fine, lived our lives, and then we started looking into it because we were very compelled to get answers to our questions. And the more we started looking into it, the more concerned we actually were. So probably in our first year and a half of getting together, meeting other patriots that had as much passion for election integrity as we did, we started forming teams. But in order to get where we needed to be, we really needed to do our homework. So we studied, we researched, we listened, and we reached out to experts so that they could help us, because we really were behind the times. So we started discovering that there were some things that were concerning to us. It was very common to go out into the public and hear sometimes our candidates who were running for office, "Oh, in Alabama, we have the gold standard in our elections." And unfortunately, that wasn't something we were actually finding. So what we did find was that transparency is almost non-existent when it comes to our voting machines, and also in our election and having access to voter rolls. The complexity of our election process keeps the average citizen from being involved. They actually have to accept that everything is okay, because honestly, after 4.5 years, we are still learning. There's so many things to know about it. And so if you think about somebody raising a family, they don't have the time to do this. So when they're told everything's fine, they just have to believe it. But sometimes the evidence shows different than that, and it's not fine. And the last thing that we really hit a wall on was we wanted to look at our voter rolls. And we couldn't, because we couldn't afford them. They were $38,000. Now, I don't know about you, but I could buy a car for $38,000 and drive it for 15 years. So anyways, that kind of stopped us in our track. Now, I want to put that in perspective for you. So we have 50 states, and half of those states, their citizens have access to the voter rolls for free. And if they charge anything, it's up to $500. The next 25% of the states are anywhere from $500 to $2,000, with over half of those being $800 or less. Then we had 3 states that were charging between $2,000 and $5,000, and we found out that in the last year, 2 of those states have lowered their fees. Then we have Alabama, $38,000, and it really was a roadblock for us and caused us a great concern. But we didn't let that stop us. I know most of you probably know George Berry and Bob. They created a presentation because it's important to make people aware of what's going on. Even though we were doing our homework, we were trying to find out what we needed to do, it's nice to be able to help other people and they don't have to put that much time into it. So they would go around the state and they would give their presentation, and that was to show the vulnerabilities in our election process. The good thing about it is it was a strong presentation and it offered a solution. Now that's something you don't find very often. You'll watch the news and it's always the noisy gong, all these things are wrong. But these guys actually offered a solution to some of these issues, and it was hand counting our elections. So Suzanne and I wanted to support them, and so what we did was we wanted to find out how to hand count. Well, we found out they don't teach hand counting in Alabama. So we went to Linda Rantz, who's in Missouri. She's an expert in hand counting. We trained underneath her. And then we came and we were teaching hand counting classes in our region. And this was to, again, bring awareness, but to also, if you have a solution, the people have to know how to do it. And we were doing that for a while. As we went on, again, we decided, well, let me tell you this first. So after Suzanne and I took the hand count training classes, there's a couple things that we found out. You're going to hear different from certain people, but we found out that the hand counting was easy, it was accurate, verifiable, cost-effective, it had a strong chain of custody, and the results can be done in one day. So you can't let people tell you any different. We went and trained how to do it, and that is a fact. So anyways, we continue to do our work, but what we did was, our quest for knowledge never ends, and it's a process that you never know everything. So in January of this year, we reached out to Dr. Douglas Frank. He's an expert in data. He's highly sought after, and he offered to come to Alabama to help us understand what our data reveals. It's something that you really have to be an expert on that to understand it. And I'm happy to say that he's with us here today, and he's our guest speaker, and I think you're going to really enjoy what he has to say. And so anyways, you're going to have some naysayers that are going to come in and talk to you about the hand counting, and I'm just going to share one of our hand count training classes. We had a veteran stand up, military veteran, and they'll say, you cannot do hand counting because you cannot do it accurately. And he stood up and said, I defended this country. America's the greatest country there is, and you have just been insulted. You can count a vote. And I thought that was pretty profound. Anyways, we learned a couple important things working with Dr. Frank and Linda Rantz, and that is it's not enough to bring awareness of a problem. You need a solution and you need a plan. And that's what we really like, is both of them offered a solution and a plan for us, and that's what we're working on, helping other people understand that. So that's why we're here today, because we need to be prepared. Most of you probably know that the president issued an executive order 14248, and in that order it has a key provision about our voting machines. So the EAC is to review the voting machines and recertify them if they're up to current standard, and the last standard was from 2021. In Alabama, our current standard is from 2005. Now, Alabama does not have to follow the exact EAC standards, so that would be something that you would hear, well, we don't have to follow that. But what Alabama does have to do is they have to have a federally approved lab certify the machines. There's only 2 of them. One of them is up in Huntsville. EAC writes their standards. So the question is, what are they certifying to? We don't know. We want to make sure our elections are not hackable. So anyways, Alabama law provides for hand counting of the machines, and if there is a natural disaster, if the machines are not working, it is within our law that we can do hand counting. So what I would like to say is we need continuity of government. We need to be prepared for anything that happens. And we need to reclaim our responsibilities to our elections, and we need to take back control. Now, Eagle Forum is embracing a proactive approach to bring our state up to be a leader and not a follower. And so I'm asking everybody here today to please join in on this afternoon's hand count training class. We've got 150 people right now who are trained. If everybody here attends the class, then we could probably double that number, and we just need to be prepared. If you have any questions about wanting to be a trainer, speak to Iva Hendon or any Eagle Forum leader. If you want to know more about our team working with Dr. Frank, please reach out to Suzanne, Bob, or I, and we'll be happy to hopefully get you on our team. But thank you.